Welcome to Alathra News. I'm your host, Starty the Explorer, bringing you coverage from around the server. We have several topics to cover today, and it's been a blast looking over at everything that has been done throughout the week. So, first up, an important announcement from our overlords. In response to recent heated discussions regarding real-life politics, they have implemented new rules to maintain a positive and inclusive environment. From now on, discussions related to politics or religion are prohibited in any of the public channels, including both Discord and in-game chat. We want to emphasize that this server is meant for fun, friendship, and enjoyment, and as such, discussions can be held privately if needed. Let's remember to keep the focus on what brings us together, our shared love for the game and the community. In other news, there is an exciting update for regional resource production in Alathra. Large towns have received a boost, allowing them to produce more of their regional resources each day. Towns with a population of 7 or more can now produce 2 resources per day, while towns with 11 or more residents can produce an impressive 3 resources per day. To benefit from the increase, town leaders will need to upgrade their nodes to the higher tiers, using the commands found in Discord. This enhancement aims to enrich gameplay and encourage towns to thrive. Alathra mobs have made their triumphant return. After addressing some pesky bugs, the overlords have re-added these unique creatures to the server. However, it is important to note that the spawn rate of the Alathra mobs have been lowered compared to previous versions. They are actively testing them and anticipate the need for further adjustments, so stay tuned for exciting experiences with these captivating mobs. And, going on with the mob theme, in a recent mob vote, the deer has emerged as the winner. Alathra next custom mobs will be graceful and enchanting deers. To celebrate its arrival, a limited time quest will be introduced at spawn. The administrators extended their gratitude to all participating in the voting event, and they hope everyone had a fantastic time making their voices heard. Get ready to embark on new adventures alongside these elegant additions to the server. Moving on from community news, the Alathra Minecraft server is preparing for elections of a new community manager. After conducting interviews, the staff has identified 4 exceptional candidates who will be presented for a vote. These candidates, in no particular order, are Slayer, Saffron Black, Moon for Manager, and Irish Clockwork. To cast a vote, players must have at least 10 hours of playtime, and the staff will also cross-check IPs to prevent multiple votes. Additionally, the candidates will have an opportunity to make their case and answer questions at the candidate stage event scheduled for Sunday, May 28th, 2023 at 2 p.m., which has been adjusted for CST time. Be sure to attend and participate in the shaping in the future of the Alathra community. Finally, let's take a brief look at the notes the staff took on the candidates. For Slayer, he presented a pragmatic approach with a detailed plan focusing on reducing grind and increasing transparency between staff and players. Gnome Sang demonstrated an RP-oriented plan emphasizing the improvement of roleplay and lore on the server. Their ability to think on their feet and handle difficult situations was also noted. XD Moon shared a well-thought-out plan that highlighted the importance of community growth and a sense of togetherness. Their ideas included community game nights and other events. And Irish Clockwork exhibited excellent conversation skills and a commitment to listen to the community. They showed willingness to adapt their plans and handle stress effectively. Now, I did end up reaching out to some of these individuals asking for an interview, and while not most were able, due to being busy out in the real world, some were able to provide me with a small snippet of what they are running for. Let's go ahead and listen to it. To start off, we're going to go ahead and talk with Irish Clockwork. Thank you for coming. And my first question for you is, how familiar are you with the community? Can you describe your experiences playing the game and your involvement with the community before today?
I'd say that I'm quite familiar with the community. I have involvement with several branches of the server, seeing as I am in lore, general wards. I am a builder, so I'm in the building section. It's basically all that kind of stuff. So my experience with playing the game is that it often can be a rocky and fun road, seeing as every day is not the same. And you feel like the server is moving as a whole, and I think my involvement with the community before today really shows that. I have been an active member of the town of Elfskin since the start of Alathra 2, and I have been a protector together with my people of peace. Not that it did work, since we kinda did have a war at the beginning with the nations of Sunderborn and Roomland. And even when it fell into despair, I have kept my ties with some people who have left the country and moved to other nations. Look at Calican, look at the other towns. I kinda cannot come up with them, I'm sorry. And besides that, I have been quite active in the trading business and have maintained well-kept relations with merchants, buying and selling items. Moving away from the server though, I have been active in the Discord, and I have been tending to keep an eye on most chats. Mostly the art and the lore channels, because I love how everyone comes up with new stuff. And I always tend to keep an eye on the war channels, not because I am fully war, but mostly because I am interested in how people react to each other and if I'm being warred. Although I do really believe that the Discord adds to the whole experience from time to time. Time to time, I see that things are really affecting the health of the community, and I do want to, work on it.
Well, I can see that you really want to help the community out here. So, what do you think are the critical responsibilities of being a community manager?
The critical responsibilities of a community manager as of now are the health of the community, as it has been damaged before due to insufficient communication between staff and community. We all saw this during the whole mending and Riptide events. And I think it is important to see and hear the community in that. Besides that, it is to hear the voices of the community and the staff to mediate between the two. For example, a new change in the server has been implemented, and people are divided by it. So the community manager could be the bridge between the community, instead of the community just going at stuff with pitchforks and torches like we have seen in the past.
Yeah, we do seem to have that problem every so often, so I'm hoping the community manager can take care of that. So, how would you encourage positive and constructive discussions among community members while addressing and mitigating toxicity, or harmful behavior for that matter?
Ooh, okay, so this question is actually quite important to me. So what I would do is basically working together with the moderating staff and helpers to create a way to moderate the chats. And maybe if it's possible, implement an auto-checking bot for the racial and negative comments. But besides that, I think we have to think about the people who are repeatedly making toxic and harmful situations and messages to others. Because I have seen people doing repeatedly the same things over and over again, and it just harms the chat. It is wounds that have given time to fester in the chat, and that's not good for the community in the server, because I have seen and heard from people that they don't want to talk in the general chat anymore in fear of being ganged up on, being called out, being just thrown toxic and negative stuff. And that is not what the server should be about. Yes, you can make jokes, you can make stuff, but don't take it too far, because some people just want to play, have fun, and be a community all together.
Yeah, I think we're all aware of how bad chat can get sometimes. It's why they implemented that new rule. But we'll leave chat aside for now because that can become a giant rabbit hole. So, for the next question, how would you approach organizing and hosting events, competitions, or community gatherings within Alathra to foster engagement and participation? This goes for both Discord and in-game.
Okay, so with the events, competitions, and just organizing, hosting events, I think it would be the best to hear the ideas of the community or come up with my own events. So when hearing the community, I would listen to their ideas for games, events, contests. Like for contests, what would it be about? Would it be for this? Would it be for that? But I think that I would need to be able to feel the community first to say these concrete things, because as for now, I don't have enough information about the community over events. It could be that people won't like the idea of constant events, so I have to check with the community how they want things to be done. Although what I will do is message the staff that have been doing the build contests lately, so to see what they had planned, what their ideas are, how they are going to be about, because that is one way to bridge that connection. Also, I will check with Moon, one of the other people who are running for community manager, since I know that they had a very well thought and explained idea for the community event. So if I would become the community manager, I would definitely work with Moon on this, since they had good ideas at the first point in time.
Girl, I love it, okay? You aren't the first one to mention reaching out to other community managers, but I am impressed that all of you are willing to work together, even when you're competing with each other. So, next up is the updates and changes can sometimes have mixed reactions within the community. How would you effectively communicate and manage community expectations during these times? As you mentioned before with the Trident and other changes that we've had done in the past.
Okay, this is a good thing because I think it was question 3 or 2. We already talked briefly about it, but if something like this would happen, I would open a thread or my DMs to hear the community's voices, trying to see what is the problem and where it's actually hurting. It could be a minor thing, it could be a huge thing. And when having heard all the voices, I will come up with a statement, trying to mediate between both parties, so the staff and the community, and see how we can work on it. And or change parts to make it less hurting, because I know that changes can be very difficult to accept. We have seen this with the mending being removed, the elytras being removed, and I think that most people should give it a chance at first, but there will always be people who wouldn't like the whole idea. So what I will be doing if something like this happens is just listen to everyone. What are the problems? What are the things? And work from there. Because sometimes it's an easy fix and sometimes you need to get up with the whole plan. So adapt, improvise, and work it out. I totally botched that reference, I think.
I believe the saying is improvise, adapt, and overcome. But don't worry about it. Anyway, you are correct with people hating change, and that's perfectly acceptable. Everyone in the world hates change. That includes me and our developers and even our moderators. So, How would you work with other teams like the developers and moderators to ensure a positive experience in the community?
How would I work with others? As I said in question 4, I think it was question 4, I would definitely work with Moon because they had good ideas. They are probably, if stuff happens as I think they are going to happen, they would be a good runner-up if I win. Otherwise, it will probably be Moon who wins. Who are we kidding? But I would definitely work with Moon on communal events. And I think I have to look at the state of the server, seeing what I'm lacking and how I can work with other people to see how that gets to be. I would definitely work with people who are willing to help. I'm open for anything. I would listen. I would do fun things, probably. But the main thing I am going to do is keep respect and the communication strong, because that is something that the server has been lacking a lot. No, not a lot, but quite a lot. So we're just going to work on communication. And if that's with new people or with old people, who knows?
You shouldn't cut yourself short, dear. Trust me. You are doing a fantastic job. But with that, I'm going to have to go ahead and move on to the next representative. Slayer was not able to answer the questions, but he did provide us with his interview. Most of you have heard it before if you haven't already inside general chat, but I will go ahead and play it now.
All right, so I'm just looking through your app really quick. So I'm going to ask you some repeat questions. And then I'm going to get on to newer questions after that. So first off, why are you interested in being the community manager?
I play the server a lot, as you can tell. I want to make it a better place because it's a really good place right now, but I think there's a lot I can do to make it better in generally. I put a lot of time in it. I know a lot about the server. I think there's a lot of improvements I can make. A lot of stuff I can bring to the forefront of like staff's minds.
Okay. And I should have said this before I asked that first question, but do you have any questions about what the community manager role is, what its responsibilities are, what it does, what the person who's the community manager is in charge of, or is that clear to you?
I think it's pretty clear to me. I tried to pay a lot of attention during the stage, asked most of my questions during that.
Okay. Great. That was something I should ask first if you had any questions with that. All right. So next question, like I said, some of these are going to be repeats for you, but for others, it's going to be new information. What would be if you were the community manager, what would your goals be?
My main goals is pushing suggestions that I read and like stuff that I get from players, including like the small team of I definitely plan to steal your council idea, but the suggestions that those people make that they think would make the server mostly less grindy but still hard, but like I want the server to be hard in a fun way. Like I don't like how upkeep used to be really grindy and we're focusing on making that less grindy. Well, you're focusing. I want to deal with a lot of stuff like that and just try to make the server just a better place to be in generally. I do a lot of grinding and stuff, so I know how that can be hard on most players. I want to do what I can to try to suggest ways to make that less of a thing that players have to do and more of a thing that, while it rewards players for doing, it's not essential to do. Because I think players should be rewarded for playing the game, but they shouldn't have to do a specific grind. If they don't want to, they should be able to do alternate ways to make money and stuff.
Okay. And how would you go about achieving those goals? And before you answer, I want to say that I just want to reiterate that this position is a bit open-ended. So the community manager will have the power to restructure the role and facilitate, whatever they can and whatever they want to do to achieve their goals. Where this is very much something we're going to be working on, the staff, myself, working with the community manager, making sure that they have all the tools that they need to succeed. So what would you do? How would you go about achieving these goals that you set out?
I don't really have anything very specific in mind at the moment. Like, obviously, since it's an open-ended role, I plan to talk with the people I eventually plan to get. Like, I plan to reach out in active player bases from different nations, especially ones that disagree with me, to get multiple viewpoints. And one of the big things, I think I mentioned it in my application multiple times, was I want to have access to either the polls channel or a separate polls channel to stuff that, so like when I see stuff that staff are thinking about implementing, but it's very much on the back burner, I would like to poll that stuff to see what players would like prioritized. That's something big I want to do, is make it so players feel like they have a vote in the game, and that they get to decide a lot of the like stuff that interferes with how they play.
Okay. You mentioned that your goals in your application, you mentioned that your main goals will be split into 3 categories: transparency, involvement, and playability. You just talked about getting players more involved. How would you address these other 2 goals that you defined, transparency and playability?
Transparency is the hard one, so I'll go with that last, because that's mostly a full staff thing and not just a community manager thing. But the second one's playability, right? That is a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of stuff with like suggesting additions to the game, like alternate money makers, and working with staff, because like I know right now mostly what I do is I just suggest stuff that I think would make the game less grindy. But as community manager, I'd be able to talk with the people, like a lot of people in the server, and they'd actually listen to me more, and we could work together to figure out good, like hard written suggestions that could help make the server more like playable, and like I want to ease the grind. That's a lot of my big thing, is I understand that while I like to grind, like I could be perfectly content farming carrots 20 hours a day, man. I know a lot of people don't want to do that. And the big thing I want to do is I want to help that not be a thing. Like I want people, if they want to farm, they can farm. Like a big thing people have suggested is like job systems. That's kind of something I'd be thinking about. Now, obviously, I would do a lot of discussion with staff and with players, and me in the middle for playability. And a lot of new mobs, man. There's a lot of them that I think could be added in cool ways that are already there. Like, when are you adding mole actually spawnable? Right? I want to fight a mole.
You're not ready for the mole.
I'm ready
Listen,
for the mole. I don't care.
you're not ready for the mole, buddy.
The mole, buddy.
You guys haven't even beaten the rabbit yet. How could you possibly defeat the mole?
Rabbit is so beautiful. I will buy another bundle to add the fuck rabbit, dude. I will buy a bundle again. Transparency is not really a community manager thing, but it's definitely a big thing that a lot of players, especially holders one, has been complaining about. Like, I think the main way I could actually help doing that would be reading staff chat, because I read a lot of chat. I read way too much, I spend too much time on the server. It's just reading staff channels and trying to understand why you guys make the decisions you do. And since I'm active in the player base and I answer a lot of questions already, I can help provide that staff perspective, that because staff spend so much time actually running the server, they don't have the time to just explain to every player every question. Because y'all got lives. I don't.
That's true. I mean, well, not the life thing. I do spend too much time on the server as well.
Your time spent,
I would say,
running it. Yeah.
That's true. But I lost my train of thought here. What was the one thing you said before that? You were talking about transparency. Yeah. So you were talking about how you want to bridge the gap between players and staff by explaining kind of the staff's perspective, which is one of the main reasons why there's a community manager role that we're defining here. I think lots of times I make changes, or developers make changes, or Kev makes changes, and what'd you say?
I joked about you removing Riptide.
Oh yeah. That's an example of something where people don't necessarily see our perspective or our process of things going of why we came to conclusions. So hopefully with the community manager, if somebody's really confused why something is happening, maybe you can explain to them, oh, well, I was in the staff chat and I saw that they were testing that and that didn't really work, so that's why they did this or whatever, And then it goes both ways as well. So if we're trying to make changes and we're like, hey, we want to do this change, and then you're like, I really think 90% of players are going to hate you for doing that. Maybe you should consider doing something else. So it goes both ways, right? So another question I have is the role itself, right? It's the community manager is one person. There's been some people that are critical of that idea, and they say, why don't you have a community council or, whatever? It's because it's just simply way too much to manage. So it's one person, but that's fair criticism. It's a lot of responsibility to put on one person. So how would you kind of mitigate that? How would you manage having that much responsibility? Would you try to delegate? Would you try to, how would you go about mitigating that?
I don't personally plan to delegate a lot. I don't plan to assign people certain jobs because I think that's kind of dumb. That's not how I roll. But I definitely plan to make a group chat because I think more than 10 people isn't needed. So I don't have a reason to really make a server. But a group chat of people from every major nation, like Lichdom, Soreto. I would count for Zydo. You'll see later. And just every major nation that plays, including people from a lot of just different walks of the server. And if I ever have something major I want to suggest to you guys, or if they have something major they want to suggest to you guys, I'll talk it through with them. We'll reach a consensus, maybe a vote or something, and then whatever that decides, I bring it to you. Just stuff like that. I think a lot of players have a lot of things to contribute. It's just not as often heard because they're not as outspoken as someone like me is.
Okay. And let me set up a hypothetical real quick for you. So let's say the staff team decides to, let's say I make a change, right? Let's say I go in, I decide I'm going to change something on the server. I make that change. I post the update, and it's very divisive. Half the people love it. Half the people hate it. There's people starting to argue in chat. It's getting pretty heated in some of the channels. How would you react to that situation as a community manager?
Well, a lot of changes are heated. That's kind of just Minecraft, nothing in Minecraft is ever not scuffed. Let's be real here. But
yeah, that's true.
I think I wouldn't be a mod, so obviously I can't mute somebody. But I think what I would do is I try to explain why the staff made the decision they made, offer my criticism, offer constructive criticism about what I think is good about it and what I think is bad. I'd still participate how I always participate, but I would also have staff knowledge and be this is why they did this. I understand if you disagree with it. I might disagree with if I disagree with that, I'll have that. But they made this change because of this. It's going to be a good change overall, even if right now it kind of sucks to get used to, because a lot of things just take a lot of time to get used to.
Yeah, that's fair. And I have one more question for you. Mm-hmm. This is the most important question we're going to ask you. Okay, so you're Batman.
I am Batman.
Would you kill the Joker? Why or why not? He's doing his Joker things.
Doing his Joker things. Okay.
Yeah.
Very important answer. So Batman. I am Batman. Okay. I would not kill the Joker because if you kill the Joker, that kills a lot of the plot line, and then less. You'll eventually have less sales, so you'll make less money. And as you all know, I love money.
So Batman is you're breaking the fourth wall as Batman.
Yeah, listen, it's
and comic. You're somehow profiting off of.
He's thinking about the economy.
The economy of whoever owns Batman. I'm going to be honest.
Of DC.
Willie's here.
Thinking about the DC economics.
Okay, we can pull him. We can pull
Yeah,
them
hold
down.
on.
We'll put a mark in here.
You know, that's going to
Alright.
shape the entirety of the rest of this interview
Yeah,
process.
it's pretty much over. But
No.
so
I got a question.
Oh, no.
Kev's got a question.
Yeah, tell me how great the regional items are now.
I fucking love Armor of the Wind so much. Please, you read my.
I did. I read all your stuff.
4-paragraph love message about Armor of the Wind. It is the best regional route.
People were complaining, saying it offers less armor, which is part of the thing, but also at the same time, it's stronger than iron armor. So they're just too dumb to realize that.
Fast one. I use the one that's the same as iron, but if like the only minor complaint is the durability sucks, but that's like the whole point. Just don't use it in combat.
Yeah.
I move fast, listen, because if you use Armor of the Wind, Traveler's Blade, and the Traveler's Boots, you move at like 17.6 blocks a second. Come on, man. You can't beat that.
Yeah. But people can't realize how perfect it
You're not
is,
smart enough.
along with all the other items that never need to be changed ever.
Some of that. I will say that
Perfect.
I was sleeping on the quick or the quick whatever, like that Lure 5 fishing rod. I was sleeping on that rod. That's good.
Everyone who is complaining that it's bad hasn't tried it.
It's like 3 times faster than normal fishing
Yeah.
rod. I did the math. I included the numbers. I did math.
Yeah, that was my question. I just wanted to hear how good the things I made were.
Yeah. So I went. So that's like automatically I win community manager now.
Yeah. Who do you main in League of Legends?
Don't play League of Legends, bro.
That was the right.
That's
that
the
was
right
the right
answer.
I've
Excellent answer.
Really good answer.
Blizzard owns League of Legends, right? I don't know.
No, Riot Games owns League of Legends.
I don't. I play.
That was the correct answer.
That was the correct answer. Okay, so I think we've asked all the important questions. Do you have any last nickels for us? Any comments, questions, notes?
Tell the other interviewees I said hi.
Okay, we can do that.
All right.
All right, that concludes this. We'll get back to you soon. By soon, I mean after we do all the other interviews, of course.
In a few
You
days.
don't really need to do
Within the next couple of days.
You know, I win. You know, I got Kevin on my side.
Mm-hmm.
You're the first one. We haven't talked to anyone else yet, so
Yeah.
we don't know.
First
So-
impressions.
First impressions.
He set the bar.
Hopefully, I said it hi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that's it. Thanks for coming. Appreciate the time. You had a well thought out application, which is why you had an interview along with
The 6 other
the others.
people or whatever.
So we will update you and everyone else once we interview everyone and figure out what the best way to move forward is.
During the creation of this video, Siphon Black reached out and stated that he is no longer running for community manager. I do apologize for whatever's going on, and if you require any assistance, don't hesitate to reach out to the community. But for those who have been saying go gnome or go home, I think it's time we all go home. Before I end this wonderful news segment, the community have reached out to me to speak of the candidates. One person in particular has reached out and stated the following. I like Irish because she has been a good pal to me. Kind and yet self-assured enough to reveal her rough side to me, while I cannot say the same for the other candidates. One of which insulted my honor. Another one I had blocked for a while. And the last one is too immaculate to garner my trust. People like that have either been around too little or have something to hide. And that has been provided by our good friend Datayi Kudatag. Well, now that is everything I have. I hope to see you all next week, and I will see you in the new frontier.